You're listening to Inside Real Estate, your source for all things mortgage and real estate related. The show that brings you all the hottest topics and insights directly from those who know it most. Now sit back and enjoy the show.
Sit back, enjoy the show. What is up, everyone? Paul Apostolakis, Bradley Weisgerber. We got Salvatore Cusmano. We are the trio of Inside Real Estate. Thank you for tuning in again for another great episode. If you've been here before, if this is your first time, welcome. For those of you that want to find us, you can go to irepodcast.com. You can go to Facebook/IRE Podcast. You can go to YouTube. You can go to any podcast app that you possibly could think of. I think we're on all of them now. Please like, subscribe, and share our podcast if you like it. And if you don't do anything. Just click off and don't give us a bad review. That'd be really nice.
Click off
Or do it. Click off. Is that a new thing, I think?
Apparently.
Go click off. Is that
go click yourself.
Go click yourself. Right. What's
there
up, Salvatore? There's Salvatore. There. Yeah.
New background.
Yeah, Danielle came in here and completely flipped my office around.
Yeah, so we both have the same cleaning lady, Sal and I, and she takes it upon herself a lot of times to make improvements to the house, and things just end up being moved all around. So she does a good job.
I mean, at first I was like, dude,
yeah.
Now it's actually really nice.
Yeah, she does
a lot
really
more
good job.
sense. Everything's in a better spot.
She moved my whole closet from one room to another, but that's what she does. So guys, today we've got a really cool guest. Her name is Terri Bailey. She runs and manages a design build firm called Kendall Design Build, and also has a handyman service called Hearth and Home Handyman. I really think it's going to be interesting to get her perspective on the market, because a lot of people that are living in their houses right now are either redesigning them or they're designing new houses to build. So it'll be interesting to get a perspective from them, exactly what they're seeing in the marketplace. So without further ado, Terri Bailey, welcome to the show.
Hi, thanks for having us.
Who's your counterpart?
So this is Morgan Stone. Morgan is our lead designer. And I thought that she might, we might want her to bring in on a few things too.
Yeah,
so,
I love it. The more the merrier. What's up, Morgan? Welcome to the show as well.
Hey, guys.
All right. So, guys, obviously, you guys are in a different sector. We do mortgages. We talk to a lot of real estate professionals. We haven't really had anybody in the design field on our show before. So tell us a little bit, just some background on what it is that you guys do.
So we're a full renovation remodeling company. So design build means you do all the planning, the space planning, the architecture, and then the finished planning. So we pick up plumbing fixtures and tile and cabinetry, etc. So all that planning comes first. Some construction companies will have the homeowner do all of that work on their own. We don't. We do it for and with the homeowner, which is really important right now with supply chain issues. And we run on average about 75 projects a year.
Wow.
Additions, first floor remodels, kitchens, bathrooms, basement remodels, etc.
So these are people that are living in their homes right now, that are looking at their house and kind of going, man, I don't want to move, but I want to kind of upgrade where I'm living, my digs, right?
Right. And so in keeping with the real estate piece, with the real estate focus of your show, a lot of our clients are out there making the decision: do I renovate? Do I add on? Do I buy? And because there has been such a lack of inventory, and because what we're seeing from inventory, you might be seeing the same thing too, is as inventory increases on the market, a lot of it is it's in distress. Or just outdated, right? So we're back to houses that are on the market needing work.
Some TLC, as you would.
Right. And so that cost benefit analysis is what we're dealing with is what our clients are dealing with. We spend a lot of time. I spend a lot of time sitting talking to them. I had an appointment yesterday. Can you just come out and tell me, should I move or should I not move? And obviously, I want the addition. I want the renovation, but it's not fair to sell somebody something or try to sell somebody something that they don't need or want or that isn't in their interest. And so I will sit with a calculator with, these are all the things you're looking to accomplish. This is what it would cost from a construction standpoint. This is what your house will be worth when you're done. is this something that you do or that you don't do? Because part of the decision to do a renovation is also, I love my home. It's not necessarily, it doesn't have to necessarily be a strictly financial decision. It can also just be, we love it, the kids are here, the kids are integrated in the neighborhood, the schools, we never want to leave, or we want to age in place here. And so sometimes people will make decisions to do things with regard to a renovation that they're not necessarily going to get their money out of. But it can't be too far off, right? And most of the people we're talking to are making that decision. Do I move or do I renovate?
Yeah, and to your point, there are places where you put money in a home and renovate, and that doesn't really increase your value all that much, right?
Yeah, correct. Right. It's absolutely. It's just and that's when you're buying yourself a Christmas present, which is fine.
Like a lot of times someone will put $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 into a basement, and you're not going to get that exact return on that money when you're going to sell the house, right?
Right. Absolutely. No, that's a great example. A basement's a great example. A garage, actually, in some communities is also a good example of that. So, like, we do a fair amount of work in Ferndale, which is a very walkable community. The garage costs between 50 and 60 grand to build right now, and which is an enormous amount of money, right? And you're not going to get that extra money out of it. And in some communities, Ferndale, parts of Royal Oak, homeowners don't even care, or they don't care that much. A shed will do the trick. They're looking for more biking, more walking.
Yeah, for sure. It's like there's certain places that you could put your money, and it's a luxury item for yourself, but it's not going to be a dollar for dollar match. Now, there are places where you. Oh, go ahead, Brett.
Is it you do that kind of consulting with people then? Like,
Sure,
so people aren't just calling you. People aren't just calling you. Just say, hey, I got a project I want. They're calling you for more advice. You're saying?
Yeah, absolutely. Because they're yes, they are. And some of the other things that we get, Morgan does too. Could you come out and give us some ideas of how we would get where we want to get? So some consulting is, I've got these 3 rooms and I can't figure out how to move space around, how to open up walls, how to create an office space, how to right.
A lot of times that consulting too is after someone's just purchased a home. So say like they just went through this crazy market, right? And they probably were fighting it out for like 3 different houses. So at that point, they get into the house, and now it's finally time to decide, what do we do with this space, right? None of that has even been thought about during the purchase portion of this. Right. So a lot of times, like our design team will go out and we do design consultations where we just walk through this property with someone where they don't even have that much experience with property either, and kind of go room by room and see like, what do you want this space to be? And give like an hour and a half to 2 hours of time to kind of talk that through, and then decide like, do they want to work with us further to put together that plan, or was that enough to just help them understand their property?
So in
I bought my
essence,
house 3 years ago, and I still don't know what to do with the space and all the words.
Do you guys sub it all out or refer it out or?
No, we're a full construction company, so we have subcontractors. I general contract. Internally, we have internal design, internal architecture. Some architecture gets to the point that it's kind of over the scope of what our architect would do. So we have architects that they're not a retainer, but they're people that we work with regularly. So I would say of our subcontractors, half of them are exclusively ours. They don't work for anybody else. The other half of them are people that we are constantly doing business with. We regularly have 4, 5, 6 projects going with them or more. So we talk to them every day. So we really do get good support from trades. We get good response from trades, and we continue to expand that basket. On the hearth and home side, the handyman side, those are our employees. Those are our employees.
In-house.
As far as how you got started, were you working for a builder, or did you start flipping homes, or?
So I started as a buying rental property when I was in my early 20s, and got comfortable with renovation and minor renovation, I guess, but included kitchens, bathrooms, etc. that way. And then about 15 years ago, started flipping houses, doing spec homes, new construction. I did a fair amount of infill building in in the North Woodward corridor, Royal Oak,
Yep.
Berkeley. And then about 5 years ago, a local real estate agent tapped me and asked me if I would do a project for one of her homeowners because they couldn't find a builder. So I did, just as a project manager, essentially GC'd it, brought all the trades and helped them, and it really just flipped the business. So I don't do flips anymore. I don't do spec homes anymore unless I'm doing that for a client. Morgan was one of the first people that came on board, and she really helped me change my concept of how to work with homeowners, because I came from that flip house spec home thought process, which is do everything on as tight a budget as you possibly can and try to make it appeal to the masses. And Morgan came in saying, no, wait, hold on. It doesn't always have to be the least expensive. It doesn't always have to be appeal to the masses. It's got to appeal to this customer and this client. So we changed the name of our company to Design Build, and changed our whole format of working.
Yeah,
what's your primary source of business? Is it word of mouth? Do you advertise? Do you go to open houses with realtors? How do you find people, or how do people find you, I guess?
Yeah, so we started off doing social media marketing, and I think a combination of social media, and we do Google ads and referrals. At this point, I think about 50% or more of our business is referral. And then the rest of it would be, because we have a website, the rest of it would be, which actually gets a fair amount of traction. So then the rest of it would be signage in the lawns, right? I get a lot of calls from people. I drove by your project, or I saw your sign. I looked online, and then the rest of the marketing, social marketing that we do.
You've got a marketing strategy that you're putting in place.
We do.
Yeah, I think what's cool about obviously what you do, right? Like, it's not like you're building out in like Washington Township or something where there's a plethora of land, right? Where you can still do pretty well, even making, mid to high grade spec homes. But the problem down here is it's kind of like that. Those who control the land or have the opportunity to get the land, that's the most valuable part, right? It's essentially you're building in an area that's already completely developed.
Saturated,
right?
Yeah, for sure.
So like custom home builders down here do really well if they have the opportunity to get the land and they create a good product that people refer out and whatnot. So how hard is it? I think that's the hardest part right now, I would say, of anything, is you probably got a list of, 50 people who want to build this year. And I'm looking for the lot, right? As soon as we get a lot.
What we don't do much in the way of new construction. Most of what we do is reconstruction, is remodeling. I have done new construction, and I'd be thrilled to do it again. And you're right, that is the problem. That's the challenge with new construction, is the dirt. There's just no dirt. And the way that you find it is you tear down a house. That's ultimately what you do. There's not as much infill building in this area as there used to be. And the people that are doing it are people that are buying. They're doing the majority of it are people doing. You got a couple of different things. One is you got custom home builders, and there's a lot of competition for that $2 million and up. And it's not that we wouldn't do it, and it's not that I don't think we can do it. I have done it. But we just don't have the traction in that market at the moment. There's a couple of people that just hold that market. The way that you build a $2 million house in Birmingham is you buy something for, I don't know, 4, 5, 6, 7, as little as you can, and you tear it down.
Tear it down, yeah.
Which is crazy to think about. I couldn't imagine spending $500,000 on a house just to bulldoze it and build a new one.
Right.
What's it cost roughly?
It's crazy to me.
And I mean, on a $2 million house, you do have a lot of the probably unnecessary value. They don't necessarily add to the value, right? Like, you are putting in the highest grade materials, which in an appraisal, you could be comparing it to another home that the materials cost half the price, same square footage, same area. It's going to be hard to extrapolate that on an appraisal. But what would you say that the average price per square foot is on like a $2 million home?
Well,
build wise,
probably $400 a foot.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe not, depending on finishes. Because just normal construction right now is $250 to $300. Additions are land around $300, $350. $300 to $350 depending on the size. And so there aren't a lot of areas that you're going to get all your money back.
Right.
There just aren't. You might break even. That's the goal, is break even right now.
Yeah. Well, I was going to ask you now, with the pandemic hitting and inflation coming in and our resources being scarcer, what have you guys seen in the cost of goods and the cost per square foot? Like, what was it before the pandemic, and now where are you looking at? Right.
This is the number one thing I think we talk about in the office. If you know another builder, they'll probably say the same thing. The cost of goods is almost like watching the stock market.
Yeah.
The price of we put together full design packages, right? And these selections, it's almost like we create a catalog for the client to go through, curated selections for their build. We now have to put a disclaimer on all those pages that the prices that they see today are just the prices today. They will change. There is a guarantee that they will change.
Right.
And it doesn't necessarily mean that it will always go up, but for the most part, they're going up incrementally, daily, sometimes weekly. But sometimes we will look at the same material from name the supplier, even Home Depot and Lowe's, and they're raising things like, the number one thing that we spec is like a certain exhaust fan for a bathroom, right? When we first started buying it was $65 from Home Depot. Today it's $90.
Right. That's a big increase. That's
right. We're talking about increases that are not 6% or 5% or even the 10% that we would occasionally see. We're seeing increases like monthly of 15 to 20% on things like doors, exhaust fans, plumbing fixtures, everything.
So like paint is going up, and there's a paint shortage, but not because there's a paint shortage, because there's a paint can shortage. So every single thing that you can possibly imagine that goes into a construction project, we're struggling with or our trades are struggling with shortages and with radical increases. A couple months ago, it was drywall mud. You couldn't find it. You had to go to 10 different stores to buy drywall mud. Before that, it was electrical boxes. So something that was 50 cents is now $6, and you have to buy 100 of them, or they're not going to talk to you, or 1,000 of them, or something like that. So that is impacting the cost of construction, because the electrician who would do a bathroom for, say, $2,000 in labor and material now needs $3,000. I think what is going to be more lasting than the price increases of materials is the price increase of labor.
Labor itself. I mean, there's a labor shortage, really, because there's so many people doing things to their homes, working on their houses, building houses. There is an absolute labor shortage for sure, right?
Completely. And so, a couple of years ago, I read something, the average age of a plumber in the United States was 57. Yep. And we're not putting people through trade schools. And then in addition, during the pandemic, what happened is as people's wages were supported when they were furloughed, or, as their wages were supported, they did a couple of things happened. That we've seen, at least in our business. We saw a whole lot of people decide to double dip. So they would go paint your house. It's under the table, whatever. And they realized what they could do just picking up a job here or there. So now, do they want to come back to work for somebody for $16 an hour, $15 an hour, $12 an hour, when all they have to do is go paint your house, Sal? They drop a Facebook ad. Everybody's doing construction, right? They'll paint your bedroom for $450, and you're happy with that because they showed up and they did it. Well, that's a week of wages doing a grunt job, and they just went in and painted your house in 2 days. You were nice to them. You said thank you. Maybe they charged you $800. Right.
Yeah.
So they're freelancing, and if they are coming back to work, they want to be paid. And we've always paid higher wages, I think, and I've always compensated my trades at a much higher level than most of my competition. I do that because it's a kind of a golden handcuff thing, right? They're never going to leave me. And so when they don't, we have long lasting relationships, and our trades are good, and we're not the cheapest out there. We're not the most expensive. It's our business model, and it might mean I make a little less. It probably means Morgan gets paid less is what it does. Right?
I think
I'm just not going to pay Morgan, right? But the guys that are out there trying to hire helpers for $15 an hour can't. And it's tough. I don't know how much cutting off the PUA is going to do. I don't know if that's going to change things or not.
So the people are a huge asset to a company, any company, right? And the cost of training and acquisition, and I can't believe more companies haven't figured this out, that treat your people well, pay them a living wage, and the overall long term, you're going to be better off. You're going to have loyal people. You're going to have lower costs for training and implementation.
It's not a political statement even, I mean,
not at all. No, it's just good business.
Right. When you sit for an hour trying to get a hamburger at McDonald's because they can't get people in there,
Right.
I mean, I would rather pay an extra $1 for that hamburger and know that the person not wait for an hour. So pay him $20, pay him $20 in benefits, 22, whatever, be nice to him. Nice to key. Am I nice to you, Morgan?
Yeah, I don't know if you want to go down that road.
Maybe not. Not today.
I mean, this year in general, right? I mean, like, even let's just keep the, supply and demand, just say that wasn't even a factor, right? Like, the cost of everything has gone up given the amount of money pumped in, including the real estate market, right? So, I mean, people need to be paid more to afford to even live, right? Whether it's trades, whether it's the person working at McDonald's. So that's been interesting. I've always wondered from a, supply standpoint, or the actual building supplies, is there a way, like, I mean, building a home, right, or even renovating it can take what, 30 days to a year and a half, right? So you build and put out a quote to someone for X amount, and then all of a sudden, a major component of the home, the lumber, has gone up 50, 60%. Do you eat that, or is there a way to hedge that in with the lumber yards?
That's a good question. So what we did, during the shutdown, we were the first group to come back during lockdown. So we came back in May of 2020. And after we were done watching Tiger King and drinking a case of wine, and I'm kind of lying about the case because it was a little bit more than that. But after we were done with that, we changed all of our contracts, and and they're plus materials. So one of the things that builders can do, and they should be doing it, there's 2 different ways to write a contract, and homeowners should know this too. There's a lump sum contract, and there's a line item contract. Lump sum is, I'm going to do your project sale for $200,000, labor and materials. And here's a list of what you get. You get 15 light fixtures, you get, 15 wafer lights, you get dimmers, you don't get this, you don't get that. I'm going to try to get as much detail in there as possible, but I'm going to charge you $200,000, and you have no idea how much money I'm making on the back end. So maybe I can do your project. I look at it and I think I can do that for $100,000. And if it's 120, that's okay. I still made a lot of money. The problem comes is if it's 220 and I've lost money. And that's when builders get into a cycle of failure. So all the stories that you hear about builders who not only go bankrupt, but they leave you with liens on your house, and all the bad guy builder stories. And I can tell you a bunch myself. I'm sure that you've all heard them or seen them. I hope you haven't experienced them. But that's really what happens. They end up in a cycle of failure. So they decide they're going to make up what they lost on Sal's job by doing Brad's job. And so then they pay off Sal's trades with Brad's money in the hopes that they're going to break even. And that never works, right? That's a lump sum contract, and I think it's bad business. We do line item contracts. And so what it includes is labor bids, material allowances. So I walk through and say, okay, the electricity, the electrician's $3,000, the heating cooling guy's $2,000, and this is what you get for that. So if we find something that we didn't expect in your house, well, okay, that's going to make it go over. But Otherwise, this is what I'm bidding. And if I screw that up, I'll lose money. But, the way to not screw it up is also, if I'm unsure, to walk that trade through and make sure that he sees everything. He's the expert in electrical or HVAC. I have general knowledge, but all these guys have specific knowledge. And then material allowances. So you've got an allowance of $400 for drywall. Well, if the drywall goes up to $800, it was an allowance. That's it. It was, we're going to try to keep it to this. One of Morgan's jobs is to look at those allowances and try to fit all the materials in there. My job is to make sure that I build those allowances based on today's price plus. So I always add extra money in there so that to cushion any increases, because Paul's not going to want to hear, hey, we thought that your materials were going to cost $5,000, but unfortunately they're going to cost 10, and now we started the project with him mad. I would rather we try to be the airlines, what is it, under promise and over deliver, right? We're
Right.
bring it in at 10,000, and 10,000 for allowances, we'll bring it in at 8. But doing line items with material allowances is how you take care of that problem. And homeowners understand it.
Yeah, and in our renovation business, clients are choosing their light fixture, right? They're choosing their hardware. They're choosing all of the little details. Well, there's no way for us to be perfect on the allowance on that, because say they decide, you know what, I love this $2,000 light fixture. Well, they're going to pay for it. It's not somehow fitting into the allowance, some way, somehow. So they get invoiced for the actual materials they've chosen based on, which have been chosen for them based on their allowances. And sometimes there's some give and take on that.
Yeah, anytime you're charging someone money to do something, I feel like it takes a lot of the uncomfortableness out of it when you can show them line by line what they're being charged. And they don't even mind if you show them, this is what our labor is, this is what we're going to make, as long as they understand it. If you're just saying, yeah, it's going to cost you $200,000 and that's what it is, they're going to feel really uncomfortable with that because they don't know what they're actually getting, right?
The more transparent you can be, the better. And I think that anybody that's hiring a contractor should ask for as much transparency as possible. It's better for the contractor too. I mean, it's better for me. I don't want to take a giant draw. I don't want a lump sum. I also want you to know what I'm being paid, because that also speaks to, how much I'm worth, right? So if I make $20,000 on your job, you should know that, and yeah.
A question I have, though, kind of going back, was, is there any controls that you have over the price of the, not obviously you can't control the current market price of it, but are you able to either offset losses by stockpiling lumber, right? Or, buying some type of derivative contract on, goods that at some point you'll deliver, maybe you'll lose, maybe you'll win on it, right? But
so the people that are able to do that, the answer is no design build firm can really do that, because every job is different. And so if we start stockpiling materials, and I tried doing that actually when I was doing flip houses, and I could get some volume discounts, but it didn't offset much. Because every job is different, we really can't stockpile. The people that can are the people that are doing, the subdivision in Washington Township. So Pulte can do that. Toll Brothers can do that. Lombardo can do that. Some of the larger firms, they can do that, and they can price.
I look at it as like a rate lock, right? Like when we talk to someone, except you have to rate lock, 100 different items. But I wonder.
Yeah, we can't do that. In fact, we because we're doing one project at a clip, right? So I can't say I want to hold a whole yard of lumber for X amount. I talked to somebody who works with a high-end builder and yesterday, and he said that I asked him a similar question, and he said that when he went to the lumber yards as lumber was going up and it's starting to come back down, they wouldn't do it, because lumber yards aren't going to go out of business because they promised you a sheet of plywood for $20 when the next day it's going to be 40. So the people that ate that were homeowners. Or builders who went out of business. I don't know that any have done that, though. I don't think that. I think builders are pretty healthy right now. They should be. If they're not, they're doing something wrong.
It makes me think there'd be like
and warehouse it yourself somewhere.
Well, it almost makes sense. Like I mean, like if there was some type of like almost hedge fund or something that would buy all these materials, and no matter how big or how small you are, be able to lock you in on prices and deliver them at a later date, right? We'll need this lumber in 6 months. Client's willing to pay for it and take the risk.
No one's really going to do that though, because there's no, they're giving up all their profit margin, right? Because they know that they can sell it down the road for more.
Yeah.
Well, depends, right? I mean, there's a whole back end
yeah.
of the market where they can buy,
Yeah.
that person who locked in at, $50 a foot or whatever and sell it for 25 or something.
I think Robertson Brothers would be a good example, and I hope it's okay to mention.
Sure.
So I think Robertson Brothers does that. They'll go out, and I know Pulte does it. They'll go out and they'll arrange for a price. But when you're dealing with commodity changes, that's really what we're dealing with, are commodity issues and something that's unprecedented too. I mean, what's happened with a combination of labor and material and the whole supply chain issue has been unprecedented. My ex-husband sells building supplies, and I am sure that they are not holding pricing right now.
It's impossible right now. You can't.
You can't. No. So the people that actually pay for it are the homeowners. That's who's paying for it.
I mean, on some level, that's being reflected. Like the one thing that we talk about is home prices being inflated, right? But if you really figure out what it costs to build a new house with the inflation in goods and all that, it's really not that far off that these home prices are going up the way that they are.
Right. And as a lender, we usually get an appraisal, and they usually have two different type of values on it, right? They have a market value, which is based on sales of the market around you. Yep. And then there's a cost value, right? We never look at the cost value because we don't really give a shit. We want to know what the house is worth if we need to resell it.
But a lot of times the cost
value is going to be coming up. It's normally lower. It's always been lower, but now it's starting to creep back up because of the cost of materials and labor. Well, I'm curious about more about kind of what you guys do. I know you mentioned that you'll go out to a property and kind of walk the house with them and discuss different designs or different ideas. Is that a free service that you guys do to potentially get a deal, or is that consultation a charge or discounted after if they end up using you guys, or how does that work?
So Morgan charges. Morgan's fees are she's selling it on the streets. So she's $150 an hour.
I don't know if that's the right way to put it, Terri.
Yeah. Maybe describe what it is.
You got three really immature guys on the show right now.
That's right. Yeah. So Morgan, the phone will be ringing.
There you go.
So she's $150 an hour. And the reason that she does it, and we usually cap her design consultations to 2 hours. And the reason that we charge is because often she will be telling people exactly what to do. Like they're actually getting something value added here.
That's what I was wondering, because it sounds like a lot of value just in that initial, because a lot of people are lost. They look at their house, they're like, I don't know what the fuck to do, right?
Right, exactly. So
it's like going to a CPA, having them draw up your taxes, and then you just take that and throw it in.
Right. That's why I was curious.
Don't forget the production sale, right? And so but I don't charge when I do it because we could be considered, because really I'm there helping them make a decision. So when a realtor goes into your house, I know realtors who do this. They will walk into somebody's house. Should I sell? Should I update? We've been thinking about doing these two things. I wanted to have a listing appointment to see what you think the house is worth and walk through what would I have to do. That's a consultation. That's helping that person make a decision. And I consider, on my end, I consider it a professional courtesy. And if they do move, chances are they will remember me fondly. And the next time they have a renovation, they'll call me. I get referrals from people who say, I'm actually doing a project, the Beckers. I'm doing a project for somebody. We're going to do 2 projects. Next year will be an addition. And they got my name from their brother-in-law and sister. I walked through a house to tell them what I thought it would cost to do the things they wanted to do, what I thought it might be worth at the end, how long it would take. I did it on a Saturday. I spent an hour with them, and they decided not to buy the house, but they gave my name to their relatives, and now we're doing 2 additions. So
that's awesome.
It turns into business, and it's the right thing to do too.
Yeah.
So
I can see both ways, but I mean, I feel like there'd be a lot of value with that initial consultation, because what is your service area? I guess, are you only like the Metro Detroit area? Do you go up, towards Flint? Do you go towards
Brad's
Traverse
really
City?
thinking about doing something right
Hey,
now.
there's a lot of shit I want to get done in my
Brad
house.
lives in Flint, so.
Yeah, where do you live, Brad? Well, yeah. We're North Woodward. We go into the Grosse Points. We do most of our business we do in North Woodward, and it's because we're here, right? We're starting to pick up a lot of business in the Grosse Points. We will go up to Clarkston. We do Farmington, Novi, Northville. I would do Ann Arbor, and we've done a project in Ann Arbor. I would do Ann Arbor if the project was worth it, but that's a haul.
Mm-hmm.
I would like to get the design work. I'd like not construction, but I'd like the design side of our business to expand with Northern Michigan property.
A lot of properties up north, Airbnbs that need renovation, whatnot.
There's a lot of outdated shit up there, especially in the UP.
A
Yeah.
lot of people buying really expensive lake homes right now.
Yep.
So, a lot of builders and renovators up there, and they don't all have designers. And I think that we could, and a lot of the homeowners live down here. I think that there's some opportunities there.
Are you guys seeing a lot of people, because a lot of people have equity in their house now, right? A lot of people have been living in their house for a long time. And the appreciation's been there. Even if they haven't been aggressive on paying down their mortgage, they have equity in their house.
Yeah.
Do you see people that are choosing, instead of moving, pulling out that equity and doing these additions?
Yes, a ton of them. That's where most of it's coming from. I'd say half the people that we're working with, a third maybe they're paying cash.
Yeah.
I'd say a third are using some sort of other financing method, and a third are doing home equity lines.
Yeah, that was my other question: is do you guys offer any financing, or how do you get paid generally for these projects? Is it a lump sum up front? Is it
or do you need a company like Omega Lending to help you get refinances?
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So we absolutely do. So we offer online. We offer it's a company called Hearth, and they do unsecured loans. It's like a social financing type of a program, and they go up to $100,000. And most people, they're not as good as HELOCs. So as far as the rates, maybe 6%. So a HELOC is a better deal. We have people who will use those to supplement home equity lines.
Got it.
We also, so Brad, if you want to send information, because I'd be happy to promote you.
Yeah, we'll cross promote. We'll do it all day.
Yeah,
we love
sure.
that. We should get together.
If I'm living in Macomb, right, or Grosse Pointe or whatever, and I have you guys come out and we go through the house and we decide I want to renovate the kitchen and renovate a bedroom or something, what is the lead time on that? Once we walk through and I'd say, yeah, I want to do it, how long are we looking at before work actually starts right now in this market?
So this is a plug for my company. We're 2 to 3 months out in starting, and the reason that's a plug is because during that 2 to 3 months, we're doing all the planning with you and we're applying for permits. Most of my competitors right now are saying 6 months to a year before they're taking on more work. We're not doing that. We've never done that, and I don't ever want to do that. I don't ever want to turn down work that's profitable. It's good business. Not to say that we wouldn't turn down work. We would turn down work if it was something that either we felt was outside of our wheelhouse, or we didn't think that the homeowner was going to be a good business partner with us. But that's a rarity. And so we're 2 to 3 months out. And the process is, we send you a proposal, we do a design, a rendering, we send you a proposal, you approve the space planning, we send you a proposal, and you accept it, we sign contracts, and then you go and you start working with Morgan and her team, and they start with all the design while we're waiting for the permits to come in. So you're pretty actively involved with us from day one, and so we would say to you, do you want us to swing a hammer starting in December, or do you want us to wait till January? That's what we would say to you right now. So we're not too far out. That beginning phase, a project really it's got planning, construction, and completion. And so the planning phase it's about half the amount of time as the construction phase. And then completion should be a month. That's what it should be, where you go through all the punch lists, all the details, all the extra finishing. It shouldn't take more than a month, and it should be less than that for some projects. So, yeah.
That's awesome. So we're getting short on time, so we could talk about this. This is really interesting stuff. So we want to get to the point of the show where we do 3 questions for you. So these are 3 random questions that
That flew by.
It flew by. Yeah, we went fast.
I have so many more questions.
I know there's a lot. We're gonna have to have you guys back on because there's so much more to talk about. So we're gonna do 3 random questions. I'll start off with the one question is, what scares Terri and Morgan?
What scares me? Geez, I think more should scare me than it does. What scares me? What scares me is, you know what scares me is trade shortages. That scares me. Yeah.
What about Morgan? What scares Morgan?
Oh gosh, probably the complete opposite of what Terri is afraid of. Also, because I'm my fear is the abundance of work.
Oh. Yeah. Well, it's kind of the same thing, right?
I mean, I don't need to say you don't want to work hard. I just mean it's just a wild time.
It's a wild market.
It's so wild, and it's do we get used to this clip, or is this just a moment in time, or so.
You gotta be able to roll with the punches nowadays because you never know what's going to punch you in the face next.
I feel like every time we ask this question, if you really boil down everyone's answers, it always kind of boils down to the unknown.
It is.
The root of it is the unknown, which is
it's either that or snakes.
Yeah. I was going to say, does spiders count? Because that's also
spiders count. Spiders are disgusting.
Just in general, what scares you?
South Carolina.
Not a big spider guy.
We're there, and it just, I have nightmares over this thing that I saw that I thought I walked into. So the unknown and spiders.
There we go. Okay.
If you had to, every time you walked into a meeting or a new client meeting or something. If every time you walked in somewhere you had an intro song, like a WWE wrestler coming out, right? What would your intro song be and why?
Great question. Mine would be Eye of the Tiger.
Yeah, I was gonna say I want
overdone.
I want the theme song to Rocky. Dun, 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 dun,
oh yeah, that's good.
See, and I want Beyonce, Who Runs the World, Girls.
Oh
yeah. Put a ring on it.
Yeah.
What's the Cardi B song? Oh, I Make Money Moves. That Cardi B. Yeah.
Which one?
Cardi B song, I Make Money Moves.
Oh, I thought maybe you were talking about WAP.
This is
no, that's our own
song.
Yeah, we'll sing that.
Yeah. All right. Sal, you got a question? Yeah, I got one if you don't have one.
Go ahead.
What is the single most ridiculous thing a consumer has asked you for?
Ooh, that's a good
one.
Boy. How deep do you want this to go?
Yeah, we can go as deep as you
Wait, that's
want.
what they asked you?
No.
Christ, Brad.
I didn't know if that was the answer. Because that'd be a pretty ridiculous.
You're not coming
question.
back on the show now because of
God.
What is the most ridiculous? I had a customer. It was actually a job I quit. He was building a $200,000+ bathroom.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a crazy bathroom.
Stupid. It was yeah.
I don't think it looks good.
No, we didn't like it either. He wouldn't let us do design. He wanted us to tear out a wall of tile because there was an 1/8 of an inch difference in grout line from, as the wall went between one wall and another on one tile because the wall was out. I don't even know if it was an 1/8 of it's 1/16 of an inch. It was really
very particular on his grout line.
Right. Yes. Grout lines are big deals, but pull out all of the tile. We had a client who wanted us to pull out countertops because there was a seam in it.
Nope, that's the most ridiculous.
That's the most ridiculous, yeah.
We were told that she was not told there was going to be a seam in the middle of a sink.
Right.
That is industry standard. That's where you put a seam.
Yep.
It's the place that hides it the most. It's the best for installation. So I just would never have thought to make sure that she knows that there's going to be a seam there. And she wanted us to rip out the countertops and redo it.
That's not cheap.
And then the second one was being told that they were not told that wood.
That was a good one.
Yeah.
Clients who wanted us to take wood out because they didn't realize they'd never lived in a house with natural wood, and they had wood floors on their stairs, and they wanted us to take the wood treads off because the wood stained with multiple colors, because wood is not one solid color, right?
Right.
You paint it. So I think that might have been the most ridiculous.
Yeah.
That the wood thing, yeah.
Well, and also like being asked to rip that out and redo it because they should have been informed that wood
has more than one color.
Wood has more than one color in it.
Yeah.
Interesting. Yeah. That's a little.
I can't believe you guys wouldn't think to tell them that.
Yeah.
No, I actually tell clients this now, and they look at me like this girl has lost her mind.
Hey, just FYI, wood is not one uniform color. That's kind of the allure of it, right?
Right. Like that's the beauty of wood is that it's natural. And each piece of wood is unique.
But here, I'm going to add one quick thing to that because I know you're running out of time. We have a client that we're working with who wanted us to do it's a mid-century modern house, and so wanted us to do one of the bathrooms in yellow because the first time he saw his fiance, she was wearing a yellow skirt, and that's when he fell in love with her. So while it was slightly ridiculous, yeah. Oh no, we.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, but the client, his wife looked at him and she was like, "You have never liked yellow. I've never seen you wear yellow. Like, why yellow is your favorite color?" And then he tells us the story, and it's like, "All right, fine, Sean. Where do you want it to be yellow?"
That's hilarious. That is so funny, guys. Can you tell the audience how they can get a hold of you?
Yep. You can call my cell at 248 Terri Bailey at 248-318-6569, or you can call the office, Kendall Design Build, at 248-514-3839. You can also find us online at kendalldesignbuild.com, and you can link in to us from there and see some of our work.
That's awesome. Guys, thank you so much for doing our show. We really appreciate your time.
Yep.
This is fun.
Yeah, it went by very quickly, which is, rare for us. Usually we're watching paint dry sometimes. So thank you for being interested.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
All right, guys. Thank you so much. That was interesting. Having them on I liked having them on. They had a lot of good info.
Yeah, and it's different than what we normally do, which is great to change it up a little bit. It was fun, a lot of fun.
Yeah,
and I have so many questions.
You have more questions. You should probably call for a consultation, bud.
That's why I asked how far they go, because I have so many little things that I want to do and some big things, and I don't know who to call. And
you're not going to do it. I mean, you had your Christmas lights up for 3 years.
They're still up. Anybody out there that is not afraid of heights that wants to deal with a really steep pitch roof.
So just so the audience knows, Brad 2 or 3 years ago got a full basket thing crane boom lift that put up all these lights, and I
decked the house out for Christmas.
I bet him that he was not going to get them down. He was like, "I'll get them down." They're still up.
Not all of them. There's 2 strings still up because I can't get them.
All right. Well, that's embarrassing. So, all right, Sal, anything to add before we go, bro? Your haircut looks amazing.
It does.
Thank you. Yeah. No, that's why I waited. I went for the right person, But no, man, got to get after it. So.
All right. We're real busy. Thank you guys for listening. For everybody that made it through the show, please subscribe, and share our podcast. Go to irepodcast.com, Facebook.com/IRE podcast. If you want to see us live, you can go to YouTube to see us live. Other than that, we appreciate you. We will see you next week, and we are out.
Bye-bye.
Out.
You've been listening to Inside Real Estate, the nation's top real estate podcast. Don't forget to follow us at irepodcast.com and everywhere where podcasts are available.